Hey there. So this video is going to show you how I plan out my blog content. So I use a pretty simple spreadsheet. I call it my editorial calendar. And I'm going to show you that. I'm going to show you the template that I've created for you so you can try to use a similar system. And then I show you how I schedule it and then outsource some of the blog content. So let's dive in. So like I said, I use let me share my screen with you so you're not just kind of looking at me instead of what I'm trying to show you. Here we go. Okay, so here is my editorial calendar. So like I said, it's a super simple spreadsheet. I use a MacBook, so this is in Numbers, but you would be able to do this in Google Drive using Sheets. You can do this in Excel easily. Obviously, this is just a simple spreadsheet. So here's what we're looking at. I have created essentially 3 separate calendars, one for the first third of the year, one for the second, and one for the third. And I've identified 3 major themes that I want to go really hard on this year. I want to essentially make a name for my company in these 3 areas. And so those have been my themes. Now, you don't necessarily need to do just 3 themes. You might have several themes. You might only have 1 theme. And so you'll have to look at this through, kind of squinty eyes and look at it and figure out what makes sense for your business. But ideally, you're going to come up with 3 to 5 themes of information that you're going to serve your clients and your prospective clients and your audience at large. So my themes are what I decided at the beginning of the year. First, online marketing strategy. You guys, if you know anything about me and my company, Jam Marketing Group, that's what we specialize in. It's a huge topic, so then it's very difficult to figure out, well, what are we going to say about that huge topic? So this editorial calendar has made that a much simpler process. And then out of online marketing strategy, we've also decided that we're going to spend some major time on social media optimization and then also launch sequence marketing, which will come in, those 2 will come in later in the year. But those are my themes. Like I said, you'll have to come up with your own themes. Maybe you own a gym and your topics revolve around fitness and nutrition. And then you might have a few other themes in there too, maybe mindset, overall wellness, wellness for the family, whatever that might be. But what are those 3 to 5 main things that you want to be known for and that you want to serve your ideal best client ever? And then that raises the point that make sure that what you're choosing, those themes, are the things that you're getting questions about most from your audience. If you're just starting out, maybe you don't know what those questions will be, which is understandable. So you'll have to do some market research to figure that out. But really think about, what does your ideal client want to know about regularly? What are the topics that they're most interested in and needing from you that you can speak to? So you'll figure out those themes. And then what I find to be great, this might not be perfect for every single business, but what I find to be great is I like to create different types of blog posts regarding this overall theme. So what I'm talking about here is I like to start out bringing the audience into the big picture. I'm a big picture thinker. That tends to be where I specialize, and is thinking big picture, coming up with strategy, understanding how all this big stuff is going to connect. So I start off big picture. What does the audience need to know about, first and foremost, to be able to follow me through this journey that I'm going to take them on through my blog content? And then I'm going to spend quite a bit of time with some how-to articles. I'm going to present some tools that will help them employ those how-to suggestions. I'm going to give them a couple next steps. Like, okay, so now that I have all of this information, what does that mean? What can I do with it? And then, which some of that I'm finding can be repetitive from where you were explaining the how-to, but it's a nice time to wrap up what you were explaining. And then some case studies show what is working, what isn't working on the things that you've taught them. Okay, so those are your main types of content that you might provide relating to that overall theme. Here's another example, my social media optimization, which I will jump into that major topic in May once I've taken care of online marketing strategy. So May to August, I'm going to be talking a ton about social media. So there's my theme. My headers stay the same. You see that. And then I've created basic topics, and I might have even gone into a title of what that blog post might be for that idea, for that theme, and for that need. So, for instance, big pictures. Big picture is, for me, where I love to start. I don't like to start with the little stuff until we've taken care of the big stuff. So social media optimization, big picture, ways it can be used. I mean, we're not gonna get really small and detailed here. We're gonna just talk about, okay, how can we use this thing called social media? And it's an animal. It's a big beast of things. So that's probably going to be a pretty large blog post. And then let's talk about other big picture things, other ways that that social media can be used as a movement starter. What about company-wide use and individual use? Does that change? Does that change the vernacular and how we use it? And then how do you choose which ones to be on, right? Because I can't jump right into telling you how to use Facebook until we've decided that Facebook is really actually going to matter to your strategy, right? So thinking through that. And then we'll go through some how-to tutorials on how to use social media and optimize it. Some tools that I use for that and I suggest others use. What are the next steps? What do I need to make sure I do to fully employ all that I've learned thus far? And then here are some case studies of what's working and maybe what's not working or what may have changed in the past few weeks. Same deal here. Launch sequence marketing will be the final third of my year, my editorial year, and I go through the same process, deciding, okay, what are the big picture things about this theme that I can speak to? What are some how-tos that my audience needs to learn about? What are some tools they need to know about? Next steps and some case studies. Okay, so that's my editorial calendar. And then you will find that I have provided an editorial calendar template. Now, it's very boring. Sorry. It's up to you to make this gorgeous if you want to make it gorgeous, but it doesn't have to be extravagant. It can be super simple and still work really well for you. So again, you'll identify your themes. You can write those out on a piece of paper or, create a new sheet on the spreadsheet and come up with some themes, plug those in there, and then start listing some big picture topics about that theme. Start listing some how-to tutorials about that theme, some tools, some next steps, some case study examples. Now, you and your business might not quite be able to apply these headers, okay? I found that these headers made a whole lot of sense for me. You might want to, it might be a little different for you. Maybe, let's go back to the gym, you own a gym example, okay? Maybe it won't necessarily be a tool. Maybe it's a recipe that you're sharing, and you're going to share 3 or 4 or 5 different recipes regarding this theme over here. Or maybe if you have a brick and mortar business, there might be a topic or a pillar, if you will, a column of blog posts that summarize what's going on at your store or in your office or with your team, or or even in your business, if you're super transparent with what you provide to your clients, then maybe that's something that you want to throw in there. So, and then in this template, I've provided you with my example there too. So it's right there for you to reference always. Okay, and one more thing I have to tell you about this editorial calendar right here is that when I fill out this calendar, I'm thinking what my audience really needs, not necessarily what I can provide to them always, because you'll notice I decided for the first third of my year for online marketing strategy, I knew that I needed to, my blog needed to speak to creating the message that you'll put out throughout your online marketing strategy. Now, I know how to create a message, but I also know someone that is so brilliant at creating a message. She's way better at it than I am. So I decided that this creating your message blog post was a really great one to have a guest post write about. Not only are guest posts amazing for collaboration and to create this connection between two like-minded individuals and two like-minded businesses, but it also connects audiences. It's amazing what one little guest post can do for both parties, both businesses, but also both audiences kind of melding together. So I identified, if you noticed a few weeks ago, I identified that my friend Natalie is amazing at figuring out how to create your message. And so, I've kind of said, hey, I know I have this on my editorial calendar and I know I could probably speak to it, but I think you could do it much better justice. Would you be open to guest posting about that? And she was like, of course, this is awesome. I love talking about that. And so she created a guest post on that. So I urge you to think about that. If you're kind of scared, I know my audience needs to know about this, but I would have to do some major research and be not an expert to blog about this. Maybe that's your opportunity to get a guest poster on your blog. And I should say, I highlight that with in yellow. So I know, okay, I'm not going to write that one. I need to make sure that I have somebody lined up to write that. And then I find that eventually, especially with the tools that I provide, the rundowns of the tools, some of the systems, they're easier to outsource. I feel like the big picture stuff, the how-to stuff, I feel like it on my end is still very me-centered, and that's okay because I'm a solopreneur, essentially, with a very small team, but all of my content needs to feel like it comes from me. But I'm identifying that, some of this stuff is pretty basic. It still needs to be communicated, but I don't necessarily need to spend the time writing it. So those are the types of things. If you find some more basic level things that need to be written about and you don't want to take the time to do that, you feel like somebody could probably handle that for you, you could highlight that in green or whatever color you want, and that would indicate that you should outsource that. So yeah, I definitely suggest that you do that because that's a lot of fun. So once you've created this editorial calendar, what do you do with it? What do you do to make sure that you actually follow the plan and it's actually planned out on your calendar? Let me share with you what I do for this. I use Asana. I'm a huge Asana fan. So I am going to hop over to my Asana and I'm going to show you what this looks like for me. So this is my Asana board called Blog Content 2017. And what I did was I took this big mess of things, and I knew that it was going to kind of go across the screen. I was going to start with big picture and then kind of move to the right. So I started to think about, okay, what needs to come first? What needs to come second, third, fourth? And I began plugging those into my my list Okay, so I played with it. I typed them in and I played and I thought, okay, yep, that comes before this and this one comes after that one. And so I ended up with a really cohesive flow. And then I know that I'm going to publish a blog post every single Thursday without fail every single week. And so I just simply went through, and in Asana you can create a due date here. So you can create a due date there, and you can also assign it to someone. Now, these are all assigned to me, but let me tell you something. Let me move myself over here so you can see. I also have my content creator added to this Asana list. So as soon as I come up with a blog post that I know I need her to write and try to work on, then I can, instead of assigning it to me, I'm going to assign it to her, which is awesome. And she'll get a little email saying, you've been assigned this task, and then we'll collaborate on it. We'll communicate on that, and she'll be off to the races writing the blog post. And it's great. And it's so much fun that way. So that's how I schedule that out. And then you can look at it. If I love the list format, but I also love looking at it on a calendar. So if you look at the calendar here, you can go right down through and you can see them. Every Thursday, I've got a blog post scheduled. Very cool. And it's just about time, because by the end of April, I'll be moving into social media optimization theme. And so it's just about time for me to sit back down into Asana and schedule out the second third of my content for the year, which is going to be so easy because I've already come up with it. I mean, I've already come up with the topics. I need to schedule it, and then I need to write it. And I feel like that's the hardest part, right? Coming up with content on the fly is so difficult. You have all these questions. What do I write? What should I write? What should I not write? What could I write? What do people want to hear? What kind of questions? Just take it'll probably take you about 90 minutes to sit down with this template here, come up with your themes and come up with your topics, and then it's done. And then you can schedule it in Asana or have your assistant schedule it or whatever, do something with it. And then you don't have to think about what you're going to write about anymore. Of course, I mean, there have been times where the week comes up and the topic comes up and I think, you know what? I think I should write about something else. This doesn't quite fit the way I thought it was going to. And so, okay, I have the ability to change that. But for the most part, I've eliminated all of that back and forth craziness of what should I write? Should I not write? Coming up with those ideas on the fly. So that's how I would suggest you do that. So let me stop sharing it and go back to you. So I've provided the editorial calendar template for you. A quick download, super free, totally free, easy to download. Download it. Come up with some themes, come up with some topics, and feel free to leave some comments and let me know if that spreadsheet helped you out at all. And if you need any more guidance as far as Asana, because if that's a new tool for you, it might be a little confusing at first, but I am a huge Asana fan and I would love to show you more about that. So go ahead and leave any types of questions or feedback that you have for me in the comments. All right, talk to you guys soon.